The next question that they ask you is, they look at your resume and they say, okay, you have passed in 2014 or 2015 and there has been a gap of say 1 year, 1.5 years or 2 years, and you haven't got placed yet, you don't have a job yet. So what they ask you is, what have you been doing in the last 1 year? Or probably they can ask you, why haven't you been placed so far? Why don't you have a job so far? So how do you answer that question? Very simple. Here, if you have been engaged in enhancing your skills or your technical knowledge, then you can say that very clearly and say, well, in the last 1 year after completing my academics, I've been undergoing training, or I've been taking training on so and so technology, and to enhance my skills and to be better equipped to get placed in a good company. And that is a very simple answer. That's what you can say, but be very honest there. And the next one that they can ask you is, they want to know a little more about you. So there are 3 different ways to ask the same questions. What they do is, describe yourself in 3 words, or what are your strengths, or what is your biggest strength. Now here, there are 3 different questions, but they mean the same, but you have to answer them differently. So here, listening is very important. When they say describe yourself in 3 words, here again you're talking about your attitude or your personality. Now what would you include? Now whenever you are including information here, it has to actually help you in the particular job that you are applying for. So here you can say, for example, you say, I'm a very confident person, but you don't look confident, you look very nervous. So can you say you are confident? No. Again, the strengths that you talk about, it should relate to what you are actually. So please do not copy paste from anywhere. They can, okay, fine, my friend said this as his strength and he got a job. No, that's different, because those are his strengths. You have to introspect yourself. You have to ask this question yourself. What do you think your strengths are? What do people tell about you? Like, do they say, okay, you're very good, you're very hardworking, or you have good time management skills? So now what you can do is, you can look at a lot of skills which you possess and talk about those 3. Or here when we say, just describe those in 3 words. So what you can say is, I'm a confident person, I'm hardworking, I am an achiever, a positive attitude, all these. Now what they usually do is, whenever they are talking about your strengths, they want you to give examples where you can show those strengths of yours. So here you should be ready with examples. Please do not take time to answer and say, okay, thinking, okay, what is my strength? Because that means you don't know yourself very well. So here you have to say, okay, if I'm saying my confidence is my strength, how can you show that? Or how have you shown that? So you have to be ready with an example. Same way, what are your strengths? Now here again, when we say strengths, again we are talking about plural number here. So you have to say the number of strengths that you have. Now you don't have to say, for example, you possess 10 different strengths. You don't have to tell all those 10 strengths, but stick to 2 or maximum 3, not more than that. Because what happens is, you are praising yourself too much. That is not the right attitude. What is your biggest strength? Now this is one question where many people make a mistake, because when the interviewer asks this question, what he or she means to say is, tell me about one strength of yours which you think is the biggest. So here we make a mistake, okay, because we go prepared, okay, strengths means I have to talk about these 3. No, here you can just say, okay, my strength is just one. When we say is, you're talking about only one, so just stick to that one strength. And if they're looking like, if the body language looks like they want an example for that, try to give an example where you have achieved that as your strength. Okay, so we'll move on to the next question now. Well, now the next question that can come up is like, the interviewer wants to know how much you know about the company, and what makes you think that you're really interested in working for that company, or you really long to work for that company. Now there are 3 different questions they can be asked. That is, why do you want to work for our company, or why do you want to work at our company? Then what do you know about our company, and tell me something about our company. Now here it's just an indication that you really are serious to work for that company, and you have come prepared because you know what that company does. So here what you have to do is, when we did the tips on background check, so you have to know a little about the company, what the company is, when it came into existence, and what is it? Is it a product based company? Is it a service based company? Or who are its clientele, and what has it worked on, like what are the projects completed by the company. So what happens when you get this information and you're clear about it, it shows that you are actually really eager to work for that company, and you know what that company works on, what its strategies are, and then the knowledge that you have would actually help you in getting involved with that company and having a position in that company. So here, why they particularly ask this company is because they want candidates who are serious and who should show a keen interest in that company, that yes, I'm really interested in working for your company. Okay. I think in the previous one I missed one question, that is, what is your weakness? Now here many people think, okay, fine, you know, it's like I'll tell about all my weaknesses, but here you have to be limited. Do not tell about a weakness which would actually affect your work or, you know, the position that you are at. Like for example, many of us can be lazy. So I said, you know, I'm very hardworking, but sometimes I'm very lazy. Now what happens is they overlook the positive part that you said, like, you know, hardworking, but what they remember is you saying that you are lazy. So probably people do not want people who are lazy in their company, so that may be a reason for you to be rejected. And one more important tip here is when they ask this question, what your weakness is, there are two reasons to ask this. If this question is coming up very early in the interview, that means, like, you know, you are on the verge of being rejected because they're not happy with your performance and they feel you're not the right candidate. But if it's coming at the latter part of the interview, like, you know, towards the end, and they're asking you this question, that indicates, okay, they've got to know you as a successful person or your interview went well. Now they want to know if this person who seems very confident, can this person have a weakness also, and if at all, like how the person talks about that weakness. Please do not make a mistake of saying, well, I don't have any weakness, I'm perfect or something like that, because nobody is perfect in this world. So you have to accept that question openly and answer confidently. Okay, the next very common question that we have is, tell me about your goals. What are your goals? Or they can ask, what are your short-term, mid-term or your long-term goals? And then where do you see yourself 2 years, 5 years or 10 years from now? Now these all are related. Now they can ask you individually, or they can just ask you about one goal of yours, or they can ask you about all. So here what you need to do is, here you cannot say, well, I'm not working, so once I start working, I'll, you know, fix goals for myself. No, they want to see how focused you are as a person. So here you can say, my short-term goal is to become a software developer. And then again, now here you need to know the various positions that you can achieve. Now here, when we're talking about goals, we're not talking about your personal goals. We're talking about your professional goals. So in 2 years time, where can you see yourself, or what position can you reach in a company? Then in 5 years like time, what can you actually become? So probably, like, you know, you are very hardworking, you can achieve that position in 3 years time. So not a big deal at all. You can say, like, you know, yes, I see myself in this position in 5 years or 10 years from now. But here what I would suggest is, if it's a long-term goal, you can talk about, you know, starting your own company or doing like that. But many people make a mistake of saying, okay, I want to, you know, work for a government organization, or I want to do a government job. Please do not make that mistake, because what happens is, even if you are qualified enough and if you are a suitable candidate, they would not hire you, because they know ultimately you would definitely look for a government job. So why should they waste their time and money, you know, behind you? So even if that's your intention, I would tell you, you know, I would suggest that you do not say it, keep it within you. But it's always better to say, you know, related to the job or the industry that you will be applying for, and based on that, in what position you see yourself. So those are the goals that you talk about. And the next one is, what motivates you to do your best on the job? Now this is a very simple question, but you know, many people are not able to answer this, because what happens is, okay, they say, you know, I don't know, because I cannot say what motivates me because I'm not working already. No, it's not about whether you're working or not, it's about whenever you've worked anywhere or on anything, like what really motivates you to do your best. So here what happens is, it's very simple. Why do we work? Like, because we want to be appreciated. We want people to realize our work. We want to, you know, people to praise our work, what we do. Obviously you've done a very good project and your manager just says, you know, okay, that was okay. Like, so would you really want to do it the next time with the same kind of enthusiasm that you did it now? No, definitely not, because here every human being wants appreciation for the, you know, little or the big things that they do in life. So here you can say, like, what motivates me to do my best on the job is job satisfaction, being happy with whatever I do, or being appreciated for the work that I do. and realization of my efforts. So this motivates me to do my best on the job. This is very simple. Next is, who has inspired you in your life and how have they inspired you? Now many people talk about their role models, like it can be a politician, it can be a social worker or a businessman, anyone who has inspired you. Now the list is endless. You cannot say like, okay, it can be your parents also, it could be your tutor also, it could be your faculty, anybody who has been able to inspire you. What have you really learnt from them? And here when you take their name, you should be able to say like, how they have been able to inspire you, what you have really learnt from them. That's very important. So you can say many people take the name of Mother Teresa or Swami Vivekananda, but yes, are you just taking the name just for the sake of it, or that person has really been able to inspire you? If yes, how? You should be able to say that. Okay. Now once they ask you about your goals, the next thing that they can ask you is, okay, if you say, okay, I intend to start my own business, something, so they can even ask you, have you considered starting your own business? Now why they usually ask is because people, like, a lot of startups coming up these days, so what they do is 5 to 10 years of experience and they say, I want to start my own company. That's absolutely fine if you want to do that, but too early in your career, that wouldn't be feasible. So here you can say, yes, probably like, once I gain a good position and where I feel, I can employ people, I definitely want to start my own business. But don't give an answer like, if I don't get a job or if I don't get placed, then I'll start my own business, because that's not the right approach. That's not the right way to answer this question. So if you have it in your mind that you really want to start your own business, but later in your life, where you are, towards, you can say beyond your 30s or your 40s, then you can definitely say that, not a problem. Are you willing to relocate? Why they ask you this question is because probably you belong to, like, for example, you are interviewing in Hyderabad, you belong to the north, and they want to ask you, you're ready to relocate, because the company may have branches in different parts of India. So that if you are able to answer this saying, yes, I have no issues. Now this depends entirely on your flexibility and your adaptability. If you're not ready to relocate, then please be honest and say no, because I prefer working in this particular place. But if you have no inhibitions, you want to say, okay, I have no problem, I can work pan India wherever you place me. So that's not an issue altogether, because what happens is sometimes if the company has a lot of branches all over India, then they can think of placing you in a particular branch. That is the reason why they ask. And one more reason is whether you are flexible enough and you are showing adaptability or not. So that's the reason why they ask this question. So we'll continue the next one in the second part of our interview.